An introduction to a QMS. What is a QMS? It's a structured framework of policies, processes, and procedures aimed at ensuring high-quality laboratory operations. It integrates all aspects of lab functions to deliver accurate, reliable, and timely results. The purpose of QMS in clinical laboratories is to improve testing quality. This is to ensure the test accuracy and reliability, as well as enhance patient safety by minimizing risk associated with laboratory errors, and regulatory compliance to fulfill CLIA and accreditor requirements, as well as fostering continuous improvement, drive process enhancements, and reduce variability. Key features of a QMS include centralized system for policies and procedures, emphasis on error detection and prevention, and promotes a culture of accountability and quality among staff. A quality management system is essential for efficient lab operations and regulatory compliance. It standardizes workflow, ensures accountability, and promotes continuous improvement, as well as minimizing risk for noncompliance. By integrating processes and fostering consistency, QMS enhances reliability, efficiency, and overall quality in laboratory practices. The importance of QMS in clinical laboratories. Building a foundation for excellence. Why QMS matters. It ensures accurate and reliable test results, directly impacting patient care. It builds a foundation for regulatory accreditation and compliance, as well as facilitates efficient workflow management and resource utilization. A quality management system serves as a vital guide for laboratories, ensuring consistent high-quality results while meeting regulatory requirements. By standardizing processes and promoting accountability, the QMS helps maintain precision, reliability, and compliance in every aspect of their operations. Some key benefits of QMS include improved patient safety by minimizing the risk of these errors, error reduction. This standardization of procedures reduce variability and prevent mistakes. Regulatory confidence. It demonstrates an adherence to CLIA and accreditation standards during inspection. And staff accountability. It encourages responsibility and ownership of processes among laboratory personnel. Alignment with lab goals. It enhances the reputation and trustworthiness of the laboratory. Supports strategic goals by integrating quality into all aspects of lab operations. A QMS functions as the interconnected framework for each component, such as document control, training, quality control, and audits, work together to create a seamless workflow. This integration ensures that every process supports the other, fostering consistency and minimizing errors. The enhancing overall efficiency in achieving quality and compliance is the overall goal. QMS, setting the stage for excellence in laboratory testing. First important part of a QMS are the policies. Then your processes, which include standard operating procedures or SOPs, documentation and record keeping, review and auditing mechanisms, as well as error management and corrective actions. All these make up a good QMS system, from beginning to end, from initial policies put in place, how you review them, documentation, and how errors are managed. Starting with policies. High-level directives that define the lab's commitment to quality. Serves as the foundations for the lab's quality framework, by establishing goals and priorities. Some examples include all tests must meet established accuracy and precision standards. The impact of this is it provides clear guidance and sets the tone for all processes and activities within the laboratory. And all personnel must adhere to ethical practices and safety protocols. Processes. A series of interrelated activities to achieve quality goals. Ensures efficient workflows from pre-analytical to post-analytical phases while maintaining compliance. Some examples of this include specimen tracking, where a detailed process for specimen collection, labeling, transportation, analysis, and result reporting. And equipment maintenance, a structured routine for calibrating and servicing instruments to prevent downtime. The impact of this is it helps minimize errors, optimize lab operations, and ensures a consistent standard of work. Moving on to standard operating procedures or SOPs. These are step-by-step instructions for performing tasks consistently and accurately. These are often the heart and soul of your laboratory. These standardized processes to reduce variability and ensure reliable outcomes. Examples of this include calibration procedures for analytical instruments, protocols for preparing reagents or handling biological specimens. The impact of SOPs ensures that all personnel perform tasks in the same manner, improving consistency and compliance. The SOP should list out what you're doing, then the staff should be following the SOP. If there is any inconsistencies and incongruencies, that should be adjusted and updated by the laboratory. And records and documentation. Evidence of compliance with procedures and regulatory requirements. Serves as proof of compliance, supporting audits, and provide a basis for continuous improvement. Examples of this include training logs to show professional qualifications, quality control logs documenting instrument performance, as well as incident reports outlining nonconformities and corrective actions. As a rule, as I state out multiple times, that if it's not documented, if it's not written down, if it's not signed, if it's not initialed, if the blank is left there blank, then it did not happen. All logs that have spots to be filled out, a signature, an initial, a date, all that should be filled out. If it didn't get documented, then it did not happen. Documentation strengthens transparency, accountability, and readiness for inspections or audits. Which leads to review and auditing mechanisms. Regular and external reviews to identify and address gaps in quality. These proactively address gaps in quality and ensure ongoing compliance with regulations. Some examples of this include monthly internal quality audits to review QC data and SOP adherence, and annual inspections by accrediting organizations. These help detect weaknesses early, foster a culture of continuous improvement, and enhance regulatory readiness. Laboratories should always be prepared for an inspection and audit at all times. Error management and corrective actions. Systems to identify, document, and resolve errors effectively. Maintain the integrity of laboratory results by addressing issues promptly and comprehensively. Some examples include error reporting system, a mechanism for staff to log nonconformities or deviations, root cause analysis, investigating errors to identify underlying causes and implement preventive measures. These error management and corrective actions help improve operational resilience, reduce the risk of repeated issues, and reinforces commitment to quality. If you're recording stuff, if you're documenting stuff, but you are not taking action on the information that you are given or that you're documenting, then there's no point in doing it. So this corrective action and error management is crucial. If you're not doing this step, if you're just leaving time, resources, and effort on the table. That's the whole purpose of continuous improvement, is that you were gathering data, taking action on this information to continuously improve your laboratory. Let's dig into developing SOPs, laying the foundation for laboratory excellence. What are SOPs? This is a step-by-step written instruction designed to ensure consistency, quality, and compliance in laboratory operations. They're essential for standardizing processes and minimizing variability. SOPs are critical in clinical laboratories as they ensure consistency, accuracy, and reliability in test results. They provide a standardized approach for performing procedures, reducing variability and human error. SOPs also help laboratories comply with regulatory standards, ensuring the quality and safety of testing. By detailing responsibilities, processes, and documentation requirements, SOPs support efficient workflows, facilitate staff training, and enhance communication. In critical situations, SOPs serve as a reference to maintain operational integrity and patient care standards. The SOPs are the heart and soul of your laboratory. They are going to be what you go to in any situation. As long as you are following the SOP, then you are meeting your compliance. However, your laboratory must have good SOPs in order to be compliant. It's important to always have your SOPs up to date and to always make sure the staff are following the SOPs. Some key components of an SOP: title and purpose, what the SOP covers, and why it is needed. Scope, who and what the SOP applies to. Responsibilities, who is responsible for implementing the procedure. It's important to start off with the most simple. What is the SOP and what does it do? Why it's important. Scope, who and what it covers, and then responsibility is who is responsible for implementing this procedure. Then procedure, step-by-step instruction for the task. References, related documents or standards, and review and revision date. Ensures the SOP remains current. It is always important to make sure that the SOP is the current version and that you're updating your SOPs regularly. It is often required that the lab director review the SOPs on an annual basis. This ensures compliance that the SOPs are the most current version. As always, it is important to update your SOPs because processes do change. There's nothing wrong with updating an SOP. If your staff identify ways of being more efficient, or if a vendor changes the way they do their processes, the way they sell, they change the lot number, they change what the reagent is called. You need to be updated to what is being currently done in your laboratory, and there's nothing wrong with updating as long as you are recording it. Updating is important in CLIA and in your accreditation bodies. They prefer that. It's actually important to continuously update and to improve your processes, and they actually encourage that. Improving processes is highly encouraged. It is not looked down upon. It is not a negative aspect. You have a new SOP, your updated SOPs. That's actually good. Because nobody's perfect the first time. There's always room for improvement. So best practices when writing SOPs. Use clear and concise language. Make sure that what you're putting down is clear and understandable. This is important because you want to avoid technical jargon when unnecessary, because you want it to be understood. You need your staff. You want there to be clear-cut what to do in the situation. If A happens, then we do B. If B happens, then we do C. If C happens, but it looks like this, then we do E. It's important to be very clear and use very concise language. Structure the SOP logically with numbered steps. It should make sense. It should flow properly. You shouldn't be jumping from step 1 to step 7. and then go back to step 3. It should make sense. It should follow a kind of an order. It should make sense chronologically, and ensures that it aligns with CLIA regulations and lab-specific policies. The SOP is meant to be there to guide the staff and to guide the processes. So it's not meant to be overly complicated. It should be very specific to your lab. It also should not be very vague and very general. It needs to have a step-by-step what you're doing. And involve your staff in drafting and in reviewing to ensure usability. You don't want to draft the document up that is not useful because the staff's like, yeah, that's not what we do. That's not the best way to do it. We like to do this. We use this pipette. We use this volume. It just makes it easier. You don't want to write an SOP that says, oh, we pipette 3 mLs by doing 100 microliters or 1,000 microliters 3 times when you have a 3 ml pipette. And regularly review and update SOPs to reflect changes in regulations or procedures. Involving staff in drafting and reviewing SOPs ensures that the procedures are practical, user-friendly, and reflect real-world practices. Staff members who are directly involved in the task can provide valuable insights in potential challenges, clarify ambiguous instructions, and ensure that the SOP is feasible and effective. This collaborative approach increases the likelihood of success of implementation, promotes ownership of the process, and improves adherence to the SOPs. Additionally, involving staff helps ensure the SOP is comprehensive, accurate, relevant to daily operations. I think it's very important to include staff when you're drafting SOPs because frankly, they're the ones doing it and they're the ones that are going to see more gaps. It's important to have everything that you need from a baseline standpoint, but there are sometimes nuances that staff members themselves know. They're the ones who see it. They're the ones who are more involved, and they catch mistakes. Also, if they're the ones drafting it and doing these kind of things, then they have an ownership of the process, and they believe in it. They're like, okay, this is how it's done, and this is the way it's done. If you're forcing them to do it one way when they like to do it another way, or it makes more sense to do it another way for them, then it hurts buy-in. And buy-in is very important when it comes to your staff. I'm not saying that the staff should be making their own rules. Obviously, you have to lay down the law when necessary, but it is important to take their input and to take their consideration when it helps in the long run. Benefits of well-written SOPs. They ensure regulatory compliance, enhance staff training and competency, and reduce errors and consistency in lab processes. A well-written SOP can ensure consistency, regulatory compliance, and improve efficiency in a laboratory. They can streamline the process, enhance staff training, and help maintain high standards by reducing errors and ensuring tasks are performed correctly. A perfect SOP should be able to be given to a staff member, and essentially they should be able to perform the activities with minimal training. In a perfect world. Not all SOPs are the same, and not all tasks are the same, so SOPs can be more vague as needed. However, the more strict an SOP to be you follow it this way helps reduce errors and helps the process be more consistent. If all staff are doing the exact same thing every time, then this helps reduce variability by user variability, user error. Managing documentation in QMS. Why documentation is critical. It's important for evidence of compliance. This demonstrates an adherence to CLIA and accrediting body requirements. Accountability provides record of actions, responsibilities, and outcomes. Continuity ensures consistency in lab operations even during staff changes. And traceability ensures tracking, troubleshooting of errors or discrepancies. This allows for if you have different staff come in, maybe you have staff you rotate through locations, maybe you have travel staff that come in. This allows for adjustments of schedules and things of that nature. Some types of documentation in QMS. Policies, overarching lab goals and regulatory commitments. Procedures, SOPs and workflow instructions. Records, logs, QC data, equipment maintenance reports, and personnel files. Reports, incident reports, audit findings, and corrective actions. There are many different types of documentation in QMS, starting off with the most overall, just basic policies. Procedures get more detailed, especially SOPs and workflow instructions. Records, this is where anything, temperature logs, anything that has a space, that has a time, date, value, those all need to be filled out, which also include personnel files for your competency as well as other trainings. And then reports, incident reports, audit findings, and corrective actions. Anytime you have an incident, there should be some kind of root cause analysis. There should be some kind of corrective action. Anytime you have an audit, there should be some sort of corrective action, unless in your audit findings are found to be perfect. You get 100%, you don't need to write an incident report. Best practices for managing documentation. Standardized formats. Use consistent templates for all your documents. It's always important to be consistent anytime, any step, and documentation is not any different. Ensure accessibility. Store documents in easily retrievable systems, such as an electronic document system. Maintain version control. Keep track of revisions to avoid outdated practices. It's important to make sure you have the latest version available to staff and that you're using the latest version of whatever documentation. Secure storage. Protect sensitive records through access control and backup systems. And periodic review. Regularly update the documents to reflect regulatory changes or lab improvements. Always be improving things. Updating, making sure that you're you're adhering to any changes, either caused by the regulatory agencies or just efficiency improvements. Effective documentation is the backbone of a successful QMS because it ensures consistency, traceability, and accountability in all the processes. Well-documented procedures, policies, and records provide clear guidance, minimize errors, and help maintain compliance with regulatory standards. Documentation serves as the foundation for continuous improvement by allowing for effective monitoring, audits, and reviews. In turn, it supports decision-making, drives staff training, and ensures that quality control measures are consistently followed, ultimately enhancing the reliability and accuracy of all laboratory operations. What are some consequences of poor documentation? Failed audits or inspections, increased error rates due to lack of clear procedures, and worst case scenario, loss of accreditation or fines for non-compliance. Poor documentation can lead to failed audits or inspections, increase the error rates due to unclear procedures, and as well as the potential loss for accreditation. The biggest thing for consequences of poor documentation are most likely your error rates due to lack of clear procedures. If your SOP is inconsistent and your staff are doing multiple different things, then that increases the chances of mistakes, it increases the chances for variability, and therefore errors in the accuracy of your tests. It's important to make sure that your laboratory is consistent and documentation is the core to maintaining that consistency. So how do you ensure that you stay compliant with CLIA standards? Start with understanding the compliance requirements. It's important to adhere to all CLIA certification requirements for the laboratory's complexity. Follow state-specific regulations, if applicable, alongside the federal CLIA rules. And maintain proficiency in regulatory updates to stay current. Always, always, always be aware of what changes in CLIA, if there's any updates, and make sure that you're adhering to the requirements. So key areas of focus for compliance. Personnel. Meet qualification for training standards of all roles. Remember that you should be doing annual competency for all staff. Testing processes. Validate and verify methods, ensuring accuracy and precision. Quality control. Implement regular QC checks and monitor results. Remember, it's important to run QC, but it's important to monitor QC. And proficiency testing. Participate and pass mandated proficiency testing. You are required to be enrolled in a proficiency testing program for regulated analytes. Unregulated analytes, it is highly encouraged that you participate in PT programs. And documentation. Keep records of all activities, audits, corrective actions, and training logs. Documentation is the key. Make sure you're documenting everything. You can have the personnel, you can evaluate them on an annual basis, you can evaluate them on a daily basis. You can have the testing processes. You can have the quality control run in place. You can even have order proficiency testing. But if you're not documenting all these activities, then there's no proof. And then when CLIA comes in, you're found in compliance. If it didn't get written down, then it didn't happen. If you don't have records of your staff qualification, you don't have records of training, if you don't have SOPs for your processes, if you don't have quality control monitors set in place, if you don't have proficiency test results, then all that doesn't matter that you ran it if you're not using it, if you're not monitoring it, if you're not documenting it. Document, document, document. That's the biggest thing as a laboratory director you should be checking. Documentation. Documentation is your pipeline, is your key responsibility, and that's going to be how you monitor your laboratory. That's how you check in. That's how you evaluate what your laboratory is doing. So, what are some steps to ensure compliance? Conduct regular internal audits to identify and correct gaps. You are required as a laboratory director to be on site 2 times out of the year at minimum. So basically every 6 months, the first half of the year and the second half of the year, you should be on site with a 4-month gap. My suggestion would be to go before April and then return sometime after August. That is a good way to ensure that you are at the laboratory twice a year with enough gap. On one of those visits, you should be conducting an internal audit. That will definitely help identify and correct any gaps. You should train your staff on CLIA requirements and updates annually as needed. And review and revise SOPs to align with regulatory changes. Most likely you will have some kind of leadership team in place, a technical supervisor, or technical consultant. You should train them on CLIA requirements. They should know what they're doing, and they need to be updated annually. And they should be ensuring that the SOPs are updated and aligned properly. Your responsibility is to review them annually, but your supervisors, whoever is in the lead role, should also be helping monitor them. Quarterly review is good. The QA monitor helps. If you have some kind of quality assurance monitor in place, that helps improve your QMS system. Because if you have a quality QA monitor, especially if you have a monthly QA, I like to do a monthly QA. It helps keep track. You can look at it quickly a year and get a snapshot. If you're by a month by month snapshot, it can give you an idea of what's going on in your laboratory and what could be improved. And use checklists for readiness during external inspections. Always be ready for an inspection. And maintain open communication with your accrediting bodies or regulators. It's important to, if you are enrolled in accreditation by an accreditator, to have open communication with them. It's not uncommon for communication with COLA surveyors or COLA themselves. Your accreditation body most likely will have an open communication with you. It's important to be in contact and be compliant. They're going to reach out to you about what is your test system? What is your test menus? Have you had any updates? What is your test volume? What is any blackout dates that should not come for inspection? What are your working hours? All these things need to be updated with your accrediting body continuously. At all times, if you make any changes within 30 days, you should notify your accreditation body of any changes. That includes staff changes as well as validation changes, menu changes. Consequences of non-compliance could lead to suspension or revocation of your CLIA certification, financial penalties and legal actions, and damage to reputation and patient trust. It is not unheard of when continuous non-compliances for CLIA to suspend your testing or to revoke your CLIA testing, your CLIA license. If you remember from previous lectures, if you do not have a CLIA, you cannot do clinical testing in the United States. So basically, by suspending or pulling your CLIA, you cannot do patient testing. Of course, there's also financial penalties or legal action, and then damage to your reputation and patient trust. One of the biggest damning things that can happen as a clinic is lose your reputation or the trust of your patients. Because if you don't have patient trust, then you do not have clients. And if you don't have clients, then you don't have a business.